Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
Hello, world.
How are you all feeling and doing out there in the digital verse? I don't know what we're calling it.
The
like
Digiverse.
in the audio verse.
The Snyderverse.
I'm making
all
new
of the
verses. That's what I'm
verses.
doing.
I love
It is a treat to be back with y'all after my
Look at this
tour
guy.
of the
Yeah.
Upper Midwest.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you back, Doug.
I am glad to be back. I had some family business to take care of, but now we got some podcast business to take care of.
We do.
And we're just going to get into it because I'm
Oh,
excited. I'm excited to get into the movie. I'm
Okay.
excited to talk about, to do quotes again.
Okay.
You don't really know what you love until you don't have it. And last week,
Wow.
I participated in the live stream, but I was like, man, I really wish I could be there. So
Yeah.
I am just so excited to be
Wow.
here back with you too. But we got to make sure everybody's introduced and properly. We have rules and bylaws and procedures to follow. So I'm going to kick it on over to one Marcus J. Destin. Marcus, how you feeling?
What's good, everybody? I am here. It is good to have Doug back. You see, there is no mess ups when Doug is in town. In the intro. But I'm just happy that the trio is back together. You know what I mean? It does feel weird when like one of us is away. Like we are all cool with each other, but it's all weird when like one person's away. You're just kind of like
It throws
Man.
off the flow.
it
It
does
does.
throw off the flow. Yeah,
Yes.
it does.
And I
But I'm
will-
here, ready to go.
And I will say, you all, I think, put more pressure on yourself than anybody else because despite that little snafu at the beginning that you all seem to think is a big deal, these things, you guys crushed it. Everything
Wow.
sounds great. So
Thank you.
kudos to
appreciate
you
that.
all.
Thank you.
Well, we got to make sure everybody's here.
Yeah.
Brian Roush, how you
Oh,
feeling? Miss
hey.
30,000 himself.
Mr. 3,000.
man.
Wow.
Oh, I appreciate that. I am feeling good. I am feeling good to be here. I've been looking forward to this all day. Mainly one of the reasons is because I'm really excited to talk about this movie because I enjoyed it way more than I anticipated. And then the other reason is that we're going back into work, but like we can't really see people. So I was like in an isolation chamber, which is just an office for like 7 hours today. And I didn't see a whole time. So like, y'all, you're like going to be like some of the best conversation I have today.
That is fantastic. Was it like an old school, Family Feud style isolation chamber, Brian? Or was it just a
No.
regular one?
No, the folks were all starting to go back to the office and figuring that out, but like apparently like it was just me. Like I saw two people. I saw two people I knew, and I was like, "Hey,
Okay.
you're here too. That's great." And then I was like, "Okay, bye," because we got to go back to our office now. So it's good to be safe. It's good. Like we're wearing masks. It's good to be safe and everything like that. It's just trying to figure out the new normal and all that good
Yeah.
stuff. So and all in all, I am happy to be here to talk about this movie.
Well, like I said, I am thrilled to be back with you all. As good as a job that the two of you did, you also shot. You guys took some shots, and my measly point total,
Nothing
which
Marcus and I
mean-
said wasn't facts. I just
Oh.
need to get that out.
Oh.
That's true though. I mean, it is
All right,
7
Brian.
and it is measly, but we didn't want to bask in that too long. We said it and moved on. You live there.
that's- I did. I've been living there for the past week is where I've been living. And so that is just kind of where we're at, gentlemen. But we have to get in to catch that quotable. We got to get in
we
there.
do.
And so we are going to get after it. So for those of you tuning in, for those of you listening, again, this is the weekly segment where we quiz each other on movie quotes and just kind of highlight the fact that we really don't know anything, which is always fun for all of us. Here is the latest scoreboard, courtesy of one Marcus J. Destin, coming in with those graphics. Brian Roush in the lead with 11.
Hello.
Marcus coming in second at 9, and I am chomping at the bit with 8.
Easily.
So
You're
that is kind of
there.
where we're at.
You're there.
I'm in the room. I'm
You-
not
yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
at the table with
Yeah.
everybody else, but I'm in the room. Which
And
is
honestly,
just-
that's the
just
hard
fun.
part when you're in the room and
Yeah.
you know where you could be,
Yeah.
and you're just not there yet. But
Yeah,
that's
you're
okay.
looking around and everybody's like, "Oh man, everybody's all dressed up. Why am I
Yeah.
wearing shorts? What's
Yeah.
going on?"
Yeah,
I'm kinda
there you go.
confused. So Brian, you are in charge of the board, sir. So what would you like to see happen?
You know what? I'm gonna kick us off. I'm really
Okay,
excited about my
Brian.
quote.
Oh,
So
all right,
I'm gonna
all
kick
right.
us off here.
Humble
great.
King.
It's a little bit of a longer quote, but it checks out.
Okay.
I have absolutely no problem with you sticking around, but if you do, we're going to have some ground rules, all right? You cannot just go around eating anybody that you want to.
I'm buzzing in.
Yeah, you
Oh.
might as well. I mean,
What
I
is
could
it?
buzz it too.
Yeah, this is Venom.
Oh my gosh, come
Yeah,
on.
right away,
really?
Venom.
right
This
out
is
of the
Venom.
gate.
Yeah. I
Oh,
watched I only
man.
know that today because I watched the new trailer and I just watched
Yep.
the new Venom 2 trailer, and then I went back and watched the original trailer.
You watched
Yeah.
the original. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to be so sneaky because the trailer
No.
came out. No, you went back and just literally watched the movie I pulled a
I
quote
like
from.
to do my
Incredible.
homework from time
Marcus,
to time.
you are like,
True.
you are knocking these down, man.
And also,
Thank you so much.
there have been some fire trailers that have come out over the course of the past week.
Absolutely.
I am still waiting on that Spider-Man trailer, but you got the Venom, Let There Be
Man.
Carnage trailer, and then Ghostbusters Afterlife last week.
That was
Awesome
good.
trailers
That
coming
was
out.
good. I was
That was
shocked how
good.
good that was.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was good. I feel like that Spider-Man trailer is not coming anytime soon.
No,
For some reason,
it
it
is
feels
not.
like they are adjusting, and I just
Yeah.
don't think we're getting anything anytime
I
soon.
would-
so.
No,
Probably
I don't
agree
think
with
we are
you.
either.
Yeah. Brian, who's up next?
Marcus, please take us away.
All right, Marcus, you're up.
All right, here we go. So this one is going to be a little bit of a classic. Here we
Okay.
go.
Okay.
It's a little bit long, so give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I lost it. That's me stalling. Okay, here we go. I lost it. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna turn the back seat into a dressing room so I can change into a proper outfit. Okay. Okay. Don't forget your shoes. Thanks. Strange town, San Francisco. When I purchased the pumps, they asked me if I wanted them wrapped or if I was gonna wear them.
Huh.
I'll read it one more
Huh.
time because that was a lot.
That was a lot.
I'm gonna turn
Huh.
the back seat into a dressing room so I can change into a proper outfit for Madame, okay? Okay, don't forget your shoes. Ah, thanks. Strange town, San Francisco. When I purchased the pumps, they asked me if I wanted them wrapped or if I was going to wear them.
Huh. I mean, this feels like a music movie
Okay.
until you talk about San Francisco, and then my mind goes a couple other places. And now I'm never going to be able to get that image out of my head.
There is a Mr. 3000 poster with his face on it.
Oh, that's
I did not
that's
expect
just
that.
so
Was
well
very
timed.
nice. That was very
Um,
nice. Thank
Had to whip
you.
it up real quick.
Yeah. Marcus, I'm
Wow.
gonna slam that hint button because
Yeah,
I cannot make heads or tails. of it.
I no, I am lost.
Crown.
Crown?
Crown.
I'm gonna
Me,
buzz
if I
in.
say if I
Okay,
say it's
okay.
crown, it's crown.
Okay.
Is it the Thomas Crown affair?
It is not.
Nah,
It
it's
is
fine.
not. And I've never seen that before.
Nah,
But
it's
that's-
fine.
Yeah.
Okay. My guess is, Marcus, is this Tootsie?
No, and I've never seen that before
Okay.
either.
Okay.
I'm challenging your ages now.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is The Princess Bride with Anne Hathaway.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
What
Okay.
the Princess Diaries?
The Princess
Princess
Diaries. I'm
Diaries.
sorry. not
Okay.
Princess- yes,
Yeah.
yes, I get the two confused.
No,
The
you're fine.
Princess Diaries with Anne
I've-
Hathaway.
I saw
Alright.
that once, like
Yes.
babysitting somebody.
I
did
grew
not
up
and
on
I
it
did
at
not
all.
pay attention to it.
Grew up on that movie. That's actually a really good movie, Brian. I feel like you would like that. That is the epitome
Really?
of like Disney in its prime. One of the ones that they got right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I heard that.
I mean, sure.
Yeah,
I'll
And
pull
it's
my
Anne
leg. I'll watch a
Hathaway.
movie.
It's Anne Hathaway, so it's
It's-
like
Yeah,
Very
I
true.
enjoy Anne Hathaway. I
for
know there was
sure.
like a period of time where people were like, "No, we hate Anne Hathaway," and I
I
was
don't
like, "But,
know why
but
that.
why?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
why? I
and then
don't
the
get
third
it.
Batman movie came out, and people are like, "Never mind."
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Fine.
yeah.
Like,
that's typically how it goes.
it's
Once you do bomb at some wild shit, they be like, "Hey, man, Forget what we was talking about. You're doing great.
It was bizarre.
Really
It was a weird.
strange.
It was
Yeah.
a weird time.
Really
The Dark
strange.
Knight had come out. In any
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
Doug,
Yeah.
are you ready to finish this
Bring
out
us
here?
home.
I am
Doug.
ready to finish this off. Gentlemen, in keeping in line with yours, this is a
Yes.
little bit of a longer quote. So
Okay.
there we go.
boy.
Being the hero of your own story isn't about stopping bad guys or climbing mountains. It's about overcoming bullies in your life, whatever or whomever they may be. It's about putting it all out there for everyone to see. And it's realizing that in life, the most important thing you can be is yourself.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. I'm going to read it one more
I'm
time.
gonna kick myself when you say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Being the hero of your own story isn't about stopping bad guys or climbing mountains. It's about overcoming bullies in your life, whatever or whomever they may be. It's about putting it all out there for everyone to see. And it's realizing that in life, the most important thing that you can be is yourself.
Is this a cartoon and is this sarcastic?
Oh well, I mean, hint. I'll slam the hint button here.
Okay. You can slam that hint button. The hint is high school.
Oh, fuck.
we both of us is like fudge.
Is this an animated movie? Here's where I'm struggling. It seems like something sarcastic because he's saying the thing about being a hero, and then he says it's about stopping your bullies. Like, I don't feel like anybody would just deliberately say that, but it is a high school movie. So now I'm trying to figure out, is this an animated movie or I don't
That is
know.
a good
I don't
question.
know. I don't
All right,
know.
gentlemen. What are your guesses?
Well,
High school.
it's not High School Musical.
It
I
is
know that.
absolutely not.
Man, I am stumped. I used to watch these types of movies all the time, so I'm gonna really kick it when I don't know it.
Okay.
It sounds like Ryan Reynolds.
Is this
Is that how I was reading it, or is it at the movie? There's the question.
I think it's how you were reading it because
That's fair.
once again, it's that sarcastic. It sounds sarcastic, and I think it's how you were reading it and
That's
not
fair.
what the line is.
That's fair.
this is
Okay.
this isn't oh my gosh. This isn't She's All That, right?
It is not. She's
All
all
right,
that. I have
fine.
not seen that, Brian, but that is a fair guess.
Shucks.
I'm gonna be pissed when I see this. Okay,
Same.
here's what I'm gonna think it is.
Oh.
I'm gonna try to take a guess and say Sky High.
It is not Sky High.
Is
I've
it-
also not seen that either.
Is it John Tucker Must Die?
It is not John Tucker.
All right,
Must
what
Die.
is it?
No,
You
that's
guys are
good.
guessing shit all over the place. Gentlemen, this is the 2016 Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie Central Intelligence.
Oh my gosh.
I saw that once, not on
I've
purpose.
never
but I just
seen
saw
it.
Yeah,
once.
there you go.
Oh,
There you go. They're
oh,
friends from high
man.
school. And there you have it. I wanted to pay homage to the
Wow.
gentleman we are
That's
going
a-
to be discussing
Wow.
today.
That's a Kevin Hart thing.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very fun.
You're not wrong. Well,
Here
there
we
you have
are.
it. The
Man.
leaderboard doesn't change.
Whoa,
I
whoa,
remain
whoa.
in.
Yes,
no,
it does.
Marcus.
Yeah,
Oh,
give me
Marcus,
my
yes, you
credit.
got one. Sorry,
Yeah,
I got you,
apologize.
man. I got
Thank
you.
you.
Marcus
You are
Jackson.
absolutely right.
And that, Brian, is why you are Mr. 3000.
Absolutely right. So, Marcus, you
Yes.
inch 1 point closer to Brian, and I remain in the room, but still didn't pick up on the cues of dress code. So that's just kind of
Please.
where we're at.
Please look at this picture.
I appreciate the fellow. So yes, I crossed a really cool follower mark on TikTok. I have 3,000 followers on TikTok. I've never had 3,000 people follow me anywhere. So this is kind of weird and
Yeah,
wild.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah.
Doug and Marcus because they
Yeah.
have been incredibly supportive through this entire wild and weird process. So just thank you for all the support, gentlemen.
You're very
Yeah.
welcome. And we will share that picture up on our socials
Oh, for
after
sure.
the episode is over
sure.
because I want people to see that and appreciate that.
Mr. 3000.
Kind
That's
of
right.
looks like me a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
like if I had no neck. Like if I
Yeah,
had no
no
neck and I
neck.
was scrunching
That was a
my
rush
way.
work. No, please
Oh,
believe
no,
me.
it
We
looks
posted,
good. The edges look
we'll
good.
fix it up in
Yeah.
post.
Let's be real.
Don't look at his hands. Just
Don't look at
pretend the hands aren't there. Just pretend like the hands aren't there.
If anybody asks you questions, say you got vitiligo.
That's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta say.
Marcus said I had this thing.
Just,
Don't worry about it.
Just don't worry about it.
Marcus said it was okay.
It was
The black,
a shadow.
the black
It
guy
was a
said
shadow.
the black
It was
my,
a shadow.
my black friend said it would be fine. Like,
That's always works out for
That's
everybody
always
that's ever said
yeah.
that, right?
always a perfect
reason why it
reason.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
No reason why it wouldn't. Gentlemen, we have a movie to get into.
You do.
For this week, we
Excuse me, I
watched.
have something I would like to say.
What would you
Oh.
like to say? I am rushing us. I apologize, Marcus.
No,
what would you
I
like
mean,
to
Yes,
say?
no, we have a structure, but also, fuck the system.
Okay, down with the man.
Down with the man. That is Doug Wagner. Love you, Doug.
That's fine.
He's an
I-
accomplice. It's
I
fine.
now see the role I play on this podcast.
You
which
are
is fine.
adjacent to the man. So here's the thing. I found out some people were related, and it blew my mind.
Okay.
So
Who
two
did you
things:
find out was related?
Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson.
Yes.
Yes, they are. There's a
For
third
s-
brother too.
Wow.
Is there?
Yes.
It's like the Hemsworth brothers. Like, it was that weird moment where I saw an article and it was like why Luke Wilson wasn't in Loki. And I was like, why the fuck would Luke Wilson be in Loki? And Luke Wilson, believe it or not, is related to Owen Wilson. And that blew my mind.
Yes.
Like, it's the same feeling I had when I found out that Angelina Jolie and who's the guy that always talks? He talks kind of spaced out.
John Voight.
John Voight, that
Yeah.
there was some
Yep.
type of relationship there. And I was
That-
like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
What is Thanksgiving in that family like? That's
Obviously
that's what I wanna
chaotic, because
know.
that was terrible. That was terrible. But it just blew my mind that these people were related. And I don't know why, it just blew my mind. The other thing is, I'm tired of rumors.
Okay.
Mhm. I'm tired of
Okay.
rumors. And because I want to be as up to date as we can be, Spider-Man, it got removed from AMC's coming soon list. Okay. It did. The Spider-Man Far From Home got removed from the coming soon list. And the only thing Spider-Man that we've seen recently is the Venom 2 trailer that just came out.
That's true.
And I have no idea what's happening, but I'm also tired of hearing about, and here's the rumor. The rumor is everybody just shut the hell up.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And I'm usually like, oh man, that's an interesting rumor. Like, I'm
Right,
usually the guy who, like, shares that, and then Brian has to go, I don't know, huge grain of salt with that one. It's
Yeah,
how,
yeah.
that's usually how the chat goes. Like, I saw a rumor before this
Yeah.
that Henry Cavill's going to be in the Flash movie.
Oh, that's it. Yes, I did see that they're bringing back Batfleck and Henry Cavill, and they're going to keep them from now on. Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. But again,
Yeah.
what do you do with that?
Yeah,
So
nothing.
and Marcus, here you go. There it is.
Yep.
Owen Wilson, Luke
Yep.
Wilson, and the third brother,
Andrew
Wilson.
That is he an actor?
Wilson.
Yes, he's an actor.
Is he really?
Wow.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
What? I mean, okay.
Yes.
That's
I mean, I
strange to
believe
me.
you.
Yeah, he was in a movie called Bottle Rocket that came out a while ago. But he's been in a couple of things. He was in, let me give you his quick little IMDb. He was in Whip It, which is that
Okay.
movie about
Whipping it.
Roller derby, right?
roller derby, or that. He was in Zoolander. He was in
Really?
yeah. He was in
Whoa.
Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. He
What
was
the
in yeah. He was in what else is he in?
He was
He's
in
one of those. Is he one of those
Tenenbaum.
people that was there but wasn't there?
Yeah, he was in Hall Pass. Yeah,
Wow.
he was in
wow.
He was in an Idiocracy. He was in that. So he's been in all sorts of stuff. Now he's usually like, see that guy in the background?
Right.
That's one of the
That's
Wilson
Owen Wilson
brothers.
brother. Yeah,
And no one
okay,
really
got
gives a
it.
shit.
And
Um,
nobody cares.
But he's there. And so yeah, they come from a whole line of actors.
Well, I just don't know. I guess I was watching the Stargirl trailer, and I was like, "There's something about Luke Wilson that's familiar." And I just and it's the I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it. So this is the
Yeah.
noise I hear when I see him. I'm like, oh, and like kind of like when I seen Owen Wilson before, because now Owen Wilson has kind of set himself up to pick whatever role he wants to now, right?
It's true.
Well,
Owen Wilson used to kind of be like, like I don't know how to
That's
explain it, but that's the noise I hear when it's a
Wow.
wow, but it's also like like a dragged acting. But
Yeah.
no shot to them; they're doing their thing, and shout out to the brothers.
Hey,
but
if they
I
want to
just
come and
blew
show
my
up
mind.
and defend themselves, we'd love to have them on the
Hey,
podcast. That's
you know
I
what?
would love to have the Wilsons on the show.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
All
for
three of them.
sure.
We'll do a Family Feud thing.
Let's
It'll
do
be
the
great.
Hemsworth and the Wilsons. Let's all just
yeah,
come
let's
together.
do it.
fine with me.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Fine with me. Yeah, that works. Did you also know that Goldie Hawn and what was the other one? Kate. There's another one. Hold on. There's another one that's gonna blow your mind. Kate Hudson.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
So yes. So Kate Hudson's mom is Goldie Hawn.
Oh wow.
There you go.
Wait a minute. Isn't also Elizabeth Olsen the Olsen twin sisters?
Yes.
That also blows my damn mind
Yeah.
that there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
it's
can
not a
kind of see
correlation.
it.
They're related.
I mean, they're related.
They're
Yeah,
straight
they're
up
related.
variables
Thank you,
here for all
Brian.
of our math
That's a direct blood relation. Like that's crazy.
It's really weird too, because like Mary Kate and Ashley just absolutely fell off the earth, and they have a clothing line. And then on top of that, like I can't remember which sister, but one of their boyfriends or something like posted on Instagram, and one of them is just wandering around in a forest with a machete. And like that was it was like a 2-second clip, and they're like, what are the Olsen twins up to? And I'm just like, man, I hope they're okay wandering around in the forest with machetes.
Well, they had the 90s in a chokehold. I mean, like
I mean, a leg lock.
Did
like,
not let, I mean, it was the 90s was turning blue. Like
they had Full House, and then I feel like every Friday they came out with a new like straight to VHS movie about their how they got into trouble, this time in Chicago. Like, and you're like, what the fuck? I don't give a shit, but that's where they were.
Yep.
The busiest set of twins I've ever seen in my life.
Gosh, they. I mean, no wonder they were like, this is exhausting. Let's do clothes, and then it's like, let's do that.
and machete forest.
And then you go to the forest with a machete. So I mean, Ashley, whoever you were, I hope you're having a great time.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we have a movie to get into, and it's important that we get into it. Now, this week, we watched the Disney movie Jungle Cruise, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and the other woman whose name Emily Blunt. I was like, and the other woman whose name I can't remember. And the other one. No, and I couldn't remember her name, but Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Emily Blunt star in this movie that I think was inspired by a Disneyland ride, which is fun for everybody.
Right.
It's in Disney World. I've seen it.
Or as I should call it, Pirates of the Caribbean in the Amazon is
here he goes.
Where we're at. So,
here he goes.
But gentlemen, we want to make sure that people get a good idea that about what this movie is about. But before,
don't start your shit. Don't bring that shit in here.
My shit's coming. My shit has been on the shelf for a week, so this shit's showing up. That's where it is.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about this.
But really quick, spoiler warning. If you have any intention of watching Jungle Cruise, hit pause and come back to us later because we're going to get into it, the nitty gritty of all of it. So just a heads up, do yourself a favor. If you want to watch it spoiler free, go ahead and hit pause and come back to us. But if you don't give a shit about spoilers, I'm going to kick it on over. I'm amped today. I'm going to kick it on over to Marcus J. Destin to give us a barbershop summary for Jungle Cruise. Marcus, break it down for the people.
All right. So what had happened was basically water.
This is how we're starting.
Oh yeah, this is there it is.
It's essential to every story and essential to every person. So basically, what happens is you get this story of everybody. Basically, everybody's searching for this flower, right? There's this flower, and there's conquistadors. There's jaguars. There's a whole lot of stuff going on, but everybody's searching for these healing flower. This flower that can heal basically anything. Okay, I think it's called the Tears of the Moon. No. It was a whole lot of names. I think it's the Tears of the Moon. So basically they're looking for this family coming around every once in a while, and what you have here is a mix of London, Nazis, WWE wrestling, The Quiet Place, and the Titanic. So it's basically all these movies mixed into one, and they go on this adventure on a boat. And so Emily Blunt, aka Dr. Pants, or Pants, as
and that is what it said in the movie, just before anyone says anything.
That's what they call it. Yes, it's called. They called her Pants. So basically, Emily Blunt is looking for this missing key. She finds this missing key and she steals it. It's this arrowhead, or what they consider it to be, an arrowhead. So she finds this missing key. This key is the thing that's going to guide them down the river and to the Tears of the Moon, because the moon be crying and shit. So, and that's where she wants to find it, because she wants to help people and she cares about people, because that is what main protagonists do. Okay, so her and her brother, they go in this adventure and they go look for this person to help guide them and lead them. And who we thought it was going to be Paul Giamatti, but it's not
No.
Paul Giamatti. It was actually The
Oh.
Rock. So The Rock, big ass, is on the river. I don't know how he floats. He has no buoyancy. He's big as hell. So he's on the river. Has this boat, okay? He calls the boat El Nina or something like that. But anyway, basically, he takes them down the river and he goes and he's leading them on this adventure. And he's a big scammer. This guy's a fucking scam wad. Everything he does is a lie and a scam. And everything he says, he goes in there, fights a jaguar. Turns out he's friends with the fucking jaguar. He goes in there, he gets put out by these little blow darts and shit like that. Turns out he knows those people. So like they set it up where he is this ultimate scammer, or he knows the rivers like the back of his hand, essentially, right? So he gets his boat engine taken, takes it back. Paul Giamatti takes his engine, he takes it back, he takes them down the river, and they go on this big adventure where they run into a Nazi prince. And when they run it, it's like in the middle of World War One. So
so technically pre-Nazi prince. But yeah, you're
yes, but
Tomato.
But Disney knows how to vilify a damn a Nazi. So basically, they go and they have this Nazi prince, and he's demanding, told me where you are. Told me take me to the river of the blood or whatever the thing we looking for. And then they got these monsters and the conquistadors that were there 400 years ago. They come back, right? They come back, and one is some honey, one is mud, one looks like shit, but I'm pretty sure he's mud. But then there's like snake, and so like you get all these different things, and they're attacking Dr. Pants and The Rock and them while they try to find this thing because he tricks them into doing that. So eventually you get this family fun adventure where they go down, they find this little leaf thing. But while they found a little leaf thing, was a million other little leaf things around them at the same time. I don't know why nobody just reached out and picked one while it was fresh, but whatever. And then you get this big twist at the end with The Rock where he's not black and he's not Samoan. He's a conquistador from 400 years ago, and
he can be anything.
Yeah,
he can be with no accent at all. But
fuck that accent.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, fuck that. I'm a conquistador. So he goes and they go this adventure. Basically, they find a flower, and that's pretty much it.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Kind of loosely.
Yeah.
All things considered, that's pretty much it.
It's
I mean, that's
this
a great way
long.
to.
This movie was kinda long.
Metallica is played.
Oddly long.
Thank you, Brian. Metallica is
long.
played. I enjoyed this movie, and this movie was
Oh.
long.
Yeah, oddly long. I agree with you, but oddly long. You're right. I kind of got like about halfway through it, and I was like, "Oh shit, they got a lot left to do here. There's more for them to do."
Opposite. I was just like, yes, more please.
So really quick, I want to run down the cast of this particular movie because it's important. So
It's a lot.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays Frank Wolf. Emily Blunt plays Lily Houghton. Jack Whitehall plays McGregor Houghton. Edgar Ramirez plays Aguirre. Anyway,
He's a conquistador.
A conquistador. Jesse Plemons, aka the whitest actor you know, aka every white supremacist you've ever met in any movie ever.
Exactly. Actually, yes. He's too good at playing a bad person.
Yes,
he
is.
I'm convinced he says the N-word in private. That's how good of an actor he is.
No,
it pisses me off.
And when somebody's like, "Hey, Jesse, don't," he's like, "It's character acting. Relax."
I'm practicing for a role. What role? Haven't got it yet. I'm just staying prepared.
I want to stay fresh. I want to stay on it.
Keep it clean.
And then, like Marcus mentioned, Paul Giamatti plays Nilo. After that, it's a little few and far between on people we met necessarily know. But that is sort of your top 6 on the particular stars of this movie. Now, it is important to note that this movie crushed it this weekend in the box office, making $34 million, and did a fantastic job. However, and it is very relevant to this podcast and everything associated, is that is combined with a Disney Plus Premier Access paywall as well. So there is that in there.
And you better believe we are going to talk. We're not going to talk about it now, but we are going to talk about how Disney is getting sued left and right.
Yeah.
Disney I heard Emma Stone is suing. Scarlett Johansson is suing, and all because of these multiple releases. So,
and if you think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sues, he doesn't. He gives people rock bottoms through boardroom tables. That's how he does business. That's
also,
just
when your
standard.
production company has a production credit in this movie, and you have a production credit in this movie, I don't think The Rock is going to sue.
I
don't know if y'all know.
They're
they're just fine. Yeah, they're going to be just fine. But $34 million, even in the midst of a rising COVID variant and all that jazz, is good.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome. It's good that they had success in the box office. Gentlemen, we need to start somewhere. We're kind of back to this format of kind of keeping things a little bit more fast and loose, but we got to start somewhere. What did you all like about this particular movie?
This thing was the epitome of a Disney movie, and I'll just say that. And one of the
100%.
and I feel like it was it had the spirit of a Disney movie that I haven't seen in a while.
Yes.
So that was why I liked it, because it felt like I haven't had this feeling in a long time. The plot didn't feel forced. None of the tropes felt forced. The story just kind of organically told itself. If I have to be a little bit more specific, what I did like were the punches at itself. So I like the idea of the Jungle Cruise taking punches at the time period it was in, and saying like women can't wear pants. When all the jokes about must be misogynistic and women can't be leaders, wearing pants, because Emily Blunt, even in the end, she wore pants again, like when they were back in London.
Yeah, and Dwayne the Rock Johnson
suit.
She was dressed like, and Dwayne the Rock Johnson dressed like a pimp. So
I did not care for him looking like a buff ass Barney, but that's neither here nor there. He was terrible. So I just like the fact that it was taking digs at itself. I was wondering if it was going to take a dig at some of the racial issues of the ride, but I don't know the history of the ride, so maybe that I could have missed it. But that's what I liked, was with Disney taking digs at itself.
Yeah.
It kind of sort of took digs at the ride, but it also kind of didn't. The only dig that it really took was in that opening, like right before the opening credits, when the tribes folk like walk out to be on his route at the beginning. They look kind of similar to the indigenous people on the ride, but also not really. So it kind of sort of did, but kind of sort of didn't too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I don't know if it was because I felt like he was saying everything was fake. Everything was fake.
Yep.
Maybe that was the dig, or I didn't know if that was to go, because it really didn't go into the story why he did that, just outside of I was here for a long time, so I had nothing else better to do. So I don't know, but that's what I enjoyed. I enjoyed them taking digs at themselves.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Brian, what did you enjoy about this movie?
Honestly, I feel like we haven't had a really good action adventure film in a while. I'm sure there's somebody screaming right now, like one that's come out in the past 3 years, but I don't know. This one just really connected with me in a lot of ways. And I don't know if it was the idea that I didn't really have to think a ton. Like my expectations, by the way, I feel like that's a big thing with this, right? Is like my expectations were like, this is gonna be like The Mummy light. That's where my expectations are
The
at.
Mummy light.
And because like what made The Mummy great was you had two charming lead actors who both had something to do. And I think that's one of the reflecting on it. Like Rachel Weisz, she's not a damsel in distress. She has stuff to do in this movie. Brendan Fraser, he's not like the big grunt and oaf. He has stuff to do. And he's not always getting out of situations. And I feel like what it honestly feels like is somebody watched Pirates of the Caribbean and The Mummy back to back, and they're like, okay, I got it. And then they made this movie.
That's too good movie. That's too good. That's great.
This
great,
was,
Brian.
Which is fine.
What if we took Indiana Jones?
Look at this
and
guy.
Indiana Jones had a baby with Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, all right. But wait, what if that baby had a baby with the Mummy? And they were like, oh, fuck, you got us. We're in 100%. Count me in. That's exactly how this works.
Baby film.
And it's not a bad.
Needs to wrap it up.
It's not. Well, I mean, it was a formula. This was like breeding goats, but movies. So yeah, this is exactly. I agree with you, Brian. This was a very. They definitely took that archaeology tone. They definitely took that like action adventure tone. So yeah, I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's what I enjoyed about it. I knew what to expect. There was a few surprises, but it understood the assignment. Like, and I appreciate a movie that does that.
For sure.
The last movie for me that kind of organically told this story this way, that it gave me this feeling that I can remember, was National Treasure.
Oh yeah, gosh, yes,
yeah.
Because I just felt like with those movies, actually National Treasures 1 and 2. So for me, it just kind of felt like while I was watching this story, I didn't know what was gonna happen because I'm along with Brian. I had no expectations. I didn't know anything about this movie. All I know is The Rock has been promoting the hell out of it on his socials.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
any movie he is in, he promotes the hell out of it.
He does promote the hell out of
Props
it.
to him.
But this one, he's been giving major props to Emily Blunt. You know, it's a weird thought that crossed my head just because we're having natural, organic conversation.
Okay.
I hope that The Rock and Emily Blunt did not cheat on their significant others with each other.
Wow. Okay.
Because I just feel like this is how we watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and those two people ended up together.
They had good chemistry.
They had great chemistry.
They did.
And so I do feel like that they had good chemistry in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just hoping that they just kept it to the movie. Because it was kind of like it was leaking off the screen. I was like, good Lord.
Their chemistry was off the charts.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And we criticized Space Jam for this, which I enjoyed on a level, but you want to talk about algorithms? This does feel like someone was like, get me the two most charming people you can think of. And someone had like John Krasinski on speed dial, and they're like, no, not you, give us your wife. And like, we can't reach Emily Blunt. we can't reach her. And got her and The Rock and like the rest that they just let the cameras roll and they figured it out.
The only reason why I think they didn't, Marcus, is because Dwayne The Rock Johnson doesn't have time between being on set, being in makeup, going over lines and shots on the production side of things, and then just lifting every fucking heavy thing he can find. He was exhausted. There was no time. He was like, I would love for us to see where this chemistry goes, but I got to do hip thrusts over here for hours.
There is a giant tire that I need to lift. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, the options are I could give you fellatio or I could squat this house. Like it's like, oh my god.
You know what he's gonna choose every time? Squat in that fucking house.
Spit out my water. I did not expect that. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's gonna squat the fuck out of that house.
Yeah, for sure. Every time he's gonna squat that house.
Yeah.
Unless he squats the house into that box, then that's a different thing.
No. Can't even look at it.
Deep squat shoulder works right into that box. Never miss it.
Wow.
God, that's so much weight on the box.
So heavy. This box is so heavy. Oh. Some guy's firing them up in the background. Come on, Rock, you can do it. Oh, the box is so fucking heavy. Come on, Rocky, you can do it. Oh, I got it.
Now all I can imagine is The Rock like just walking around set and they're like, hey, we don't need that lifted, and he's like, well, now I feel like an idiot, and he like puts it back down. So
he's like, well, now I'll carry it out of here.
Right.
That went somewhere.
We left. Welcome to Films in Black and White, keeping it edgy.
Gentlemen, what I enjoyed particularly about this movie is they really did their homework on the period stuff and that they introduced. Like, and being myself, and you all know me, anytime I saw something that was like a historical reference or an animal reference, I was like, Disney didn't do their fucking research. Like the first thing for me was the scorpion and the tarantula. I was like, that tarantula looks like, but I don't think scorpions exist in the Amazon. So I paused the movie and I went, scorpions in the Amazon. One came up. I was like, well, fuck me. Good job, Disney. You got me.
That's all it took.
Well, and then after that, the submarines. I was like, this was World War I. They didn't have submarines yet. Googled it. Fuck yeah, they did. I was straight up wrong. So they did their homework and they really they took you to the period that this was supposed to be set in. And I thought that was definitely to its credit.
You know, the weird thing for me is I had that same moment where they had so I'm going to sound like a weird pervy guy, but and just hear me out.
Any more than you just did?
Anyway, well, that's true. Everybody knows I'm a respectful young man. So here's when Emily Blunt had to go in the water because he said that the thing was too narrow. The entrance was too narrow, closer to the end of the movie.
I actually think I know what you might bring up. Yeah.
Well, she strips, right? She tells him, don't look, and she strips. And I forget the time period. So I'm like, are they really about to do this scene in here? And she has like these long underwear.
She's wearing pants.
She's wearing pants underneath her thing. And I was like, oh, that's right. This is that time period where it isn't just lingerie, sexy bikini, James Bond time underneath that. Like they were accurate to the thing. Not that I was looking forward to, but it was more like, Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot. It was something I didn't even think about, but they're just going to let
Right.
you know we got this shit down to the skivvies, like
Well,
that
and
kind of energy.
I think
Yeah.
to Disney's credit, any other studio, like if this is WB, they're gonna have
they're
some
fucking
sort
this
of
over.
they're gonna have some accident that makes it look like a bikini. To
Yeah.
Disney's credit, they said, no, that's what she wears. There's no reason
Right.
in the story to write that in. So we're just gonna keep that the way it is. So I completely agree. I appreciate that commitment to the period. I
Yeah.
commit. I appreciate that.
That was
100%.
surprisingly tasteful. I didn't
Yeah.
like because
Yeah.
I didn't expect that sequence of scenes because like and that because we're gonna get in the water and she's like, well, turn around, and I was like, no, don't
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
is a family film. Are we
Don't
really
do
gonna do
that.
this? And then like the way they handled it, where it was like, and he's like, you're just wearing pants, and it was like, oh yeah, it's just pants. Okay, let's go swimming. Like I thought
Yeah.
that was a good
Yeah.
fake out, and I thought that was a good way to handle
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. Gentlemen, other things that you enjoyed about this particular movie?
The plot twist. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
plot twist.
I was just about to bring it up too.
No, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead. Take it away.
I mean, honestly, I know. So in the moment, and that's what matters, right? When you're watching a film, in
Yeah.
the moment, I loved the twist. Like I didn't see it coming. I thought it was legit just going to be The Rock being like, "Oh, I'm a grumpy guy, and I'm giving up on my dream." What I was expecting was him to be like, "My wife died." That's what I was expecting the entire time, and that's why he was looking for everything. I was expecting Emily like Blunt to find a picture of a woman, whatever. And then when he was like, actually, I'm 400 years old, and I'm like, I'm into this. Let's
Yeah.
go. And then the
Okay.
Metallica kicks in, and you're like, I know this song, but do I? What is this? Is really that song? And I'll be honest, I kind of missed out on some of the dialogue and exposition dump because I was concentrating so hard on the fact that am I really listening to a Metallica song
Brian,
in
the
Disney?
minute that they zoom on that Spanish guy's face and it is fucking nothing else matters, I was like, it doesn't matter. Nothing else that you're about
Nothing
to
else
say
matters.
matters
Yeah.
because I'm not going to be.
Mm.
I had to stop it and listen to the song. I
Yes.
could not get it out of my head.
Y'all are easily distracted, and I'm supposed to be the music person. Like, what is going on?
I think it was just jarring. Like you just don't expect. It's like surprise Metallica in your Disney movie.
And then again,
It makes though.
they undid
Mhm.
all of the period piece that they were trying to set up because about 3/4 of the
Oh,
way
yeah.
through that fucking montage, that electric guitar comes in,
Yeah.
and it's just like, what are
Mhm.
you doing? It was
He's ripping. He's
insane.
ripping.
I mean, like it was so it was weird. I don't know. The best way I can describe it was that it worked for me because the whole thing was strange. I was like, sure, put an electric guitar in. The Rock was raised by Italians, and now he's an immortal person trapped in the Amazon forever. Like all of
Yeah.
these things cascading on one another. It was like an overload of what? And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed for the silly, frilly little thing it was. I went to the I knocked my mic. That's how excited I am. I went to the Reddit discussion thread after the movie, and someone was like, "Oh, so like Pirates of the Caribbean? They just did Pirates of the Caribbean," and I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh,
It is,
I didn't
yeah.
think about it like
I
that."
mean,
but I do acknowledge that, but it worked for me.
I mean,
I liked it. I mean, for me, I just felt like it was a good twist at the time that it came in.
Yep.
In the movie. So
Yeah.
like I think you're about maybe an hour 30 in. Maybe you have another 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe
Give or
a little
take.
less.
An hour 30 for sure. Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
a late reveal. That was a late reveal.
It was a
Super
third act
late.
reveal, in my
Yeah, it was
opinion.
definitely a third act. No, that's absolutely right. That's why I think it kept me on board because I was looking at the screen. I'm doing this thing because I went to the theaters. So I'm doing this thing where I'm looking at the screen and I look at my watch and I'm like, okay, how much more is left? Because I'm kind of hit that
Mhm.
wall.
Yeah.
And then they make this reveal. And literally I was like, damn it, they got me back in again. Like they pulled me right back
Oh,
in
for
with the
sure.
reveal because I was like, okay, this makes sense to the story. Like I get that. Only thing I wish they would have done more was on the relationship between his brother, quote unquote, the other conquistador and the Rock. Because they said, oh, there's this deep hatred we fought for 400 years, but when they kind of run into each other, it's just like Francisco, and then that's it. Like they leave it at that. Like so
Yeah.
I wish they would have either done more with that or maybe not have introduced that at all. Maybe it was somebody he knew and they were just in the same
That's a good point. They
Journey.
did not need to be brothers.
No.
Like
It could have been
you could take
anything.
that element out and it wouldn't matter. I don't
No.
know if they included it because of like heritage or
Yeah.
like why is The Rock in here? Why is he Italian? But at the same time, it's a movie. You can just, yeah, he's Italian.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
They said he was adopted, right? They said he
Yeah.
was adopted. His family died, and they were raised together. Which I get that part,
Oh, for
Right.
sure.
but
Yes.
the hatred and I guess I don't know. They said they fought for 400 years, and then he had to trap.
Oh yeah,
him.
they kept like running into each other. Like,
Kept
every
running
time
into
we
each other.
ran into each other, we
Yeah.
fought, and it was like, why? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, I
I think I was
understand.
pissed. He's pissed.
I mean,
that's why.
I get it, but and unlike the two of you, I saw this reveal coming.
No,
because-
way.
Yes, because I said out loud before the reveal, I said there was no blood. There was no like she was walking
I didn't
down
pay
that
attention to any
embankment.
of
She
that.
was walking down that embankment, and I'm like, oh, so he's not dead. So he must be a ghost too. Like basically, he must be
Oh.
a zombie too. Like I kind of just put it all
I mean, that's
together.
fair.
After he got stabbed,
Yes.
you know what I tossed that up to? He
What's
big
that?
as hell. I just tossed it up to The Rock being big as shit because that's one of the things he does throughout this movie is remind us how big he fucking is.
It's very. I mean, he's wearing a shirt that is easily 2 sizes too small.
I mean,
So,
that's how
have
you
it
show
too-
off.
It's too small.
That's how you get
okay,
the
bro.
people to buy your protein and tequila. Okay. But
Mr. 3000, everybody. That's the commercial. That's the commercial.
That's
well,
right
look,
there.
the only reason I know this
Protein and tequila is
You
hilarious.
want to hit dingers like me? Protein and tequila will take you there.
I mean, I walk into my local liquor store and there is a cardboard cutout of The Rock there. Every
Yeah.
time I go in there
Yeah.
and I'm like, The Rock has a tequila. Do I buy it? No, I don't drink tequila, but
I'm not
I
gonna lie to you.
appreciate it.
Tequila.
Yeah.
It is-
but
It's pretty good tequila.
to your credit, Doug, when we got to that scene where it was like, this man's alive, that's when I thought he was going to be like, I drank the tears of the moon, but I don't have a good soul and my wife left me or something like that. That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
So maybe like that's why I was so jarred because I was like, oh, you're just okay. You are a undead conquistador. Okay, got it. Got it.
Okay.
Check.
Okay. With
And
no
even-
accent, and apparently, well, everybody else's hair continues to be there. Yours over time just went the fuck away.
No,
So-
look, to his credit, if I'm alive for 400 years, I'm done with hair. Like
Yeah, fuck hair.
I don't
No,
need
sorry,
that.
you guys.
Fuck
I've
it.
lived my life for at least 18 years now without hair. I'm not fucking giving this.
It's
if someone
overrated.
tells me, hey, Doug, we're gonna give you a mane like down
A
to my
mane.
shoulders,
Yeah.
and all you have to do is maybe be undead for 400 years. Sign me up. I'm on board.
You
Oh.
want a mane? You want the mane?
Oh, you want it?
Yeah, tie that shit up into a bun. Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
that's gonna get old after the first 200 years, but enjoy
No.
yourself.
yeah.
I feel like
I'm
the
living my
first-
best life. And if
I
it's that,
guess.
if it looks like that shitty wig Dwayne the Rock Johnson had in that flashback,
Oh, wow.
again, I'm here
Hey,
for it.
don't hate on that.
Yeah, don't hate,
Look,
man. They
that
tried to
needed to be around for like 5 seconds of flashback. I
Yeah.
forgive it.
And you could tell that he was like, okay, just for the flashback, right?
Yup.
Like 3 seconds,
100%.
like three seconds, right? And they're
You
like,
promised.
it's your production company. We don't give a shit.
Right.
Okay, I'll do it, but nothing else matters has to be on in the background. I don't know if we can get the rights to that. And they're like, fine, we got you.
I will squat your house.
Like,
Like
squat your house.
Into that box.
Like, all I know is
Huh.
there was a close up of The Rock with the facial hair, and I was like, "Oh man, you didn't like this at all.
Mm,
You
no,
didn't
I
like
did
doing
not.
this scene at all."
He was like, make it over my face, so maybe
Yep.
it's my stunt double.
It's itchy. Yeah, it was
Yep.
itchy. Is this a mop? I
Are we
mean,
done?
it was just weird that I guess it threw me off because he didn't have any spooky powers. So
Right.
one of the things that I did like was the CGI. I mean, when they
Oh,
cut
yeah.
the Conquistador's face and a snake came out of the cut, I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
man.
shit!" I was like,
I
"Man,
thought the most
that's
impressive
creepy."
was the bee conquistador.
Thank
to be
you.
honest.
Yeah,
I'm
that
all
was good
about
too.
the undead
That was
bee
good.
He was
conquistador.
missing like the back end of his head, and that looked just fucking awesome.
That
The
looked
idea is he
rad
was-
as hell.
It was pretty cool, and the
Like-
idea of him eating himself was also hilarious. He was like, well, "We look disgusting," and he was like, "Speak for yourself," and he's eating himself. I'm like, "Oh my god, this guy's a freak. He's a freak. He's a freak conquistador.
This is a good time for me to chime in that my wife hates snakes, and we went to go see this in a theater. So like there was no escape for her.
Okay.
So shout out to Maggie. I know that was really hard.
That
for
would be
you,
hard
but,
for
like,
Brittany too. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you don't like snakes, this is a tough watch because there's a dude literally made of snakes.
He's made of snakes. He's throwing snakes all up. The first thing I thought was my dad. I was like, "Yep, my dad can't watch this movie. He's not even gonna sit through this. It was too many snakes. If it's like one, you're like, okay." But this guy, he had 1 million snakes.
No, and it's not like they were just around, like slithering around him. Like they jumped out of like his face. So there was no way around it.
Like violently too. It wasn't just like I'm gonna slither out. It's like nope, mouth in your face.
At one point, I did think that I was like, are they gonna make this into a 3D movie? Because some of the shots
felt that way.
Felt like they were like trying to jump off of the screen, or that they could like
point.
You know, I didn't know if they was like maybe we'll use this for something later, for the ride later, or something like that. I didn't know, but it felt like a lot of these scenes felt 3D-ish to me, and I was like, I don't know why.
No, but that's a really good.
Yeah. I thought the same thing, Marcus.
Because there's go ahead.
No, Brian, go.
No, the only thing I was gonna say was like there are moments in this movie where you're like, what decision was made here to like linger on this shot, but then like move really fast on others? And I'll get into that later. That's one of my critiques. But like, if it's 3D, that would totally explain it to me. If they had originally set this up for 3D, of like, look at this village for 10 seconds, and you're like, okay, I understand it's a village. The establishing shot is done right. Like establishing shots are done in like 3 seconds, and then you're like, here's this plot thing in the water, and it's like, look at Emily Blunt, look at the rock, look at the water, look at the rock again, look at the boat, and it's just like, give me a
piranhas.
Like, and I'll get more into that later. But Marcus, I agree with you.
It's also weird that like with the establishing shot thing, Brian, like the other thing that I find odd about this is that most of the time establishing shots are done like when you're really there. But I feel like most of this, and I don't want to be an ass, but most of this was like 3D. Like it was CG, not 3D, sorry. Was CG. So it was weird. It's like we're gonna do an establishing shot that's mostly digitally rendered. That to me is like that's not really showing off anything. It's like great, a computer could do that. Like so, I thought that was a strange choice. So I think that's a good point for sure. So
I mean, I've never been on the Jungle Cruise ride before, or I've actually never been to Disney World, Disneyland, any of those.
Well, we're going.
Well, all right. Yo, yeah. So, but I wonder if you see my excitement. Oh yeah. I wonder if they'll redo the ride and this time base it off of the success of this movie.
That would be a good idea.
I mean, because now it's time to update the ride. And with his production company, I could definitely see them being like, this movie was so successful. Now this ride is based off of this movie instead of the other way around. They had no basis before. Now it has a really good base in a successful film. All right, we're going to redo it with some of these shots. Here's 3D shots of the snake jumping at you. Here's 3D shots of the river. It's 4D interactive. Here you go.
Here's what I will say. And here's my argument for why I don't think that they will.
Okay.
And for those of you listening, I have watched the Imagineering story on Disney Plus no less than 2 times all the way through. So I have done an odd amount of research about
Don't talk to me about a Snyder Cut ever again.
Okay, well,
actually, that's a good point, Marcus.
That's 4 hours, and you've watched that 8. So when I watch it 6 more times, then we have beef. Right now, we fine.
First of all, this guy's a little spicy.
Imagineering versus the Snyder Cut.
I thought this was WB versus Disney, huh?
Like pointing, like aggressive.
You motherfucker.
Meanwhile, I'm on like my 3rd rewatch of I Think You Should Leave, so it's fine. Y'all keep talking.
We like what we like.
That's right. Anyway, I don't think that they will, because with Disney rides, they like to have more of they like to really focus on the story that's being told with those. And the way that those two were built, I mean, the original Jungle Cruise ride was an opening attraction for Disneyland back in the late 50s, early 60s when that opened up. So for you to like go out there and retcon it to something that's now, one would be a little bit of a challenge. And 2, I think you'd have a lot of people who go there specifically for that ride because
Wow.
Because
there are a
it
lot
is
of freaks out there who love what they
Yeah.
love when it
Well,
comes to Disneyland.
yes.
Um, fingers pointed at me, like that.
You're a
There are a
freak.
lot of people out there who
You're
like what
freakistador.
yeah, a freakistador. So it is just I think they'll get a lot of too much backlash, and it is considered to be a part of Disneyland,
That's a good
Disney
point.
World DNA.
I feel like
Plus, there's
Disney.
not a lot of need for it too. I mean, and that's the one thing that's I mean, if you're talking about differences between the ride and the movie, the
Yeah.
ride I think is set in Africa because there's giraffes and rhinos
That's
and
a good
elephants
point.
Yeah.
and giraffes, rhinos, elephants, monkeys, stuff like that. And this was set in South America, so I think it was more of a like
Oh, okay.
homage. And some of their dialogue
Okay.
is ripped off straight from the ride. Like when Dwayne the Rock
yeah.
Johnson says, "You didn't pick the best ride, but you didn't pick the best cruise, but you certainly picked the cheapest." And
Okay, that
when
makes
he
sense.
Yep.
and when he talks about like, oh, this is the backside of a waterfall, those are lines from cast member
Okay.
jokes directly from the ride at Disneyland.
That
So
makes sense.
this was a little bit, I think, of more of like an homage, kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean was like, it's not spot on, but if you know the ride really well, you'll be able to
Right.
see the connectors.
Oh. Is Pirates of the Caribbean based off a ride too?
Absolutely, it is 100%.
Oh shit! I did.
Yep.
Okay, I'm obviously I'm missing something.
Loosely,
I need
so
to go to
much
Disney
so-
World.
so much so that like when that movie first came out, Johnny Depp, that's typically like animatronics people that are in the ride at Disneyland and Disney World. Johnny Depp for like a couple of days surprised guests, and he was Jack Sparrow walking through Disney World.
Get the fuck
Pirates
out!
of the
I
Caribbean.
had no idea.
Yo, No,
I
there's
had
an
no idea.
amazing video on YouTube of them
Mhm.
promoting the movie, and like he cut like basically there's a Jack Sparrow animatronic, and then
Mhm.
like Johnny Depp just like pops out, and they're like, "Is that part of the? Oh, geez, that's
Oh
Johnny
shit, that's
Depp."
really that man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! That's really that man.
Like, I mean, if it were me, I'd be like, "That's Johnny Depp. Goodbye." Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're both kind of homages. So the big question is like, what other rides could they possibly do? I mean, Haunted Mansion, that's a ride at
That's
Disneyland
a
and
ride,
Disney
yeah.
World.
I remember
They're
that
get
one.
that's coming out with a new movie.
It's getting a
so-
remake again.
Oh my
Mhm,
god.
it is indeed.
Oh, I did not know that. I
Or
remember
Eddie
the one with,
Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
That we respect Eddie
Yeah,
Murphy.
no, yeah, we
here.
have
Yeah.
to. 'Cause Haunted Mansion was not bad. I'm not gonna get down a rabbit hole. Haunted Mansion was not bad. I just think that it was not It was Disneyfied a lot. And here's
It's a
the other
little
thing I wanted to
too-
say. Disney manages to push the envelope with what Disney is, because this movie can be a little creepy at times and be a little bit
Right.
aggressive.
Sure.
Well-
I mean, he threatens a village with a torpedo. So like,
Yes.
and it was like, I
Yes.
was like, wait a minute, like this is what, and he gets squashed by a big ass boulder.
After
like-
he says in
The-
German,
Yep.
shit.
Yeah, yes. I forgot Doug speaks German. Yes, yes.
He literally like right before it fell, he goes Scheisse, and I was like, oh, so you can just drop
Yeah.
curse words in PG movies, Disney?
It's
So-
German,
So
so
apparently
it
nobody.
doesn't count.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. This movie did. There are parts of this movie that tried to be like, we're like with the times, everybody. Like it's
Mhm.
okay to watch Disney, and like I appreciated the attempt, but
Mhm.
like with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's like you made an attempt, but you didn't follow through. Like
Mhm.
you threw the punch, but you didn't follow through. So it doesn't really connect. And that
Yeah.
part for me, and I guess this kind of leads into critique, was
Mhm.
Emily Blunt's brother. I'm trying to pull
Yes.
the name and the
Oh,
character.
I wanted to give him compliments.
Shoot, I'm on Haunted Mansion because of you, Marcus.
Oh, my bad.
Marsha
bad.
Thomason is also the other lead in that movie, and
I
remember
know,
enjoying
I know
her
his
performance.
nickname. His nickname is Tight Balls from The Rock, and I only know that because of the socials. They gave him a million nicknames. The actor that plays her brother, and Tight
sure.
Balls was one of them. And
Wow.
and it's a reoccurring joke on the
okay.
socials.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I'm
Jack
pretty sure IMDb
Whitehall.
won't have him listed there, but yes.
Yeah. Jack Whitehall plays Emily Blunt's brother, and he essentially doesn't say that he is gay, but
he says he's
he
gay.
says
Mm.
that he is gay, and
I heard that
I
loud and clear.
Because of who I
right.
love. Yeah.
and it's a sequence between him and The Rock, and he's talking about how he was set up in this like kind of arranged, not arranged, but like someone wanted to marry him, and like basically they use a lot of this like evasive language of like
a lot of metaphor.
Yes. And I don't know. I enjoy that Disney's trying, but at the same time, like you have a sequence like this where it's like you couldn't just say it because you were worried you would alienate people that wouldn't pay for your movie or that they would get mad about it. And you couldn't just like stick to it. And it's the same thing as Falcon and the Winter Soldier of just like you're so close to saying it, but you won't for various reasons. And so that part was just a little disappointing for me. I'm happy that there was a little bit more of representation there. But I think where my feelings are coming from is like I'm seeing stuff online of like why this is such a big deal for Disney to have a gay character. And I'm like, he never even said it. Like he never like it was never even referenced like exactly what you said, Doug. It was just like a pile of metaphors. That, you know, and that was just disappointing to me. I wish they would be more direct with it.
For me, I'm gonna push a little bit back.
Go for it. Different opinions are welcome.
Because I'm going back to the time period thing. And not that they didn't have labels in that, and not to say that they didn't have labels in that time period.
No, that's
but
fair.
Also, the explanation of being gay back then is going to be a lot different than it is than just coming outright and just saying it. Because I have to imagine it's not the norm to just to come out and talk to another man that you don't know and just be like, you know, trying to explain it like, hey, he's probably, to me, I was like, because of the time period, I'm assuming he tried to explain that to other people the same way and was like, because of the person that I loved, you know, they tried to disown me instead of just, you know, being straight out and being like, well, because I'm gay and because I, you know, like men, you know,
why do you think maybe things were, you know, a little bit different back then? If you were to, just come out and say it, maybe, you know, but no, that's a great point that you make, Marcus. And I definitely didn't think about that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
I mean, I think in the moment I appreciated that because I sat behind some older, not trying to stereotype or anything. I sat behind in front of older white women. And they were coming in and they had their blankets and they were like, I had to bring my blanket in because it was cold. It was like that kind of
that's like a next tier level of moviegoer.
And there was like, you know how I know, because there was a group of old people and one young man, and they came here but specifically because that young man wanted to see this movie.
Yep. And so Robert to see Jungle Cruise and bought him a lemonade.
That's right. The Rock is in there.
That young colored fella, Dwayne, is in this movie. Yes. And it's like, oh my God. I didn't know he was Italian. He's not. He's just acting. But they were in the theater and I was waiting for their reaction when that scene came up. And honestly, they didn't give one. They were just like, oh. And that's literally all I heard was, oh. And that was it. So they got it. The message was delivered. Yeah. So I just feel like that scene was good, and I thought it was important because they didn't force it. You could have assumed that he just was more what do they call that? The way that you walk and talk in this more fluent,
more flamboyant.
Flamboyant. Yes. I mean, yes. Especially in the time of London, like I figured that would have been the norm of like hoity-toity, is what I would have called it.
Right.
I think the offensive thing to say is like effeminate.
Yes, I think yes. I think that's like the improper term to use, but flamboyant I think is a better term because even my dad is a little bit more, he's a little bit more, he's not he's kind of flamboyant in some of his actions, but he's very much so, a straight married man. So like I just figured that he was just like London. That's how they act in London. High tea and all that other stuff like that. So
Jeepers, Agatha, he's a homosexual. Like I would have loved if that had been the response in the middle of Vermilion theaters. That had been like you're like, oh my what the fuck just happened?
Wait. Because we live in pretty kind of, I think we're split 50-50, but we live in kind of a liberal bubble within our red state. So people are really understanding here, right? Yes. So people are really understanding. I don't know what I thought I was expecting, but if I heard Jeepers Agatha, he's a homosexual, would have been that. I would have been out of it.
That probably would have been it for me as well. Brian, since you brought up things maybe that didn't work so well,
Oh,
Yeah.
here goes this.
I
Jesus,
would
let's do
like
it.
to launch into this piece. Did they
Okay.
not give a fuck what the Spanish was? Did they not?
In what part, Doug?
I mean, anytime somebody was speaking Spanish, they basically said, "Fuck it, they'll figure it
No.
out."
No,
they
did
didn't
not.
put a. Did they put? They did not put what I saw. They did not put any like captions at the bottom.
No, I had no captions either.
They did not put the captions at the
Oh.
bottom to explain what those people were saying in Spanish. So for all as I know, they could have been saying anything and it didn't matter.
And
I
wait, at
mean-
what point? I got captions. I
The
remember
the
captions.
flashbacks.
Oh yes,
The
no, they
flashback.
did not. No.
That shit is full on Spanish. And they were like, meh, it
Well,
doesn't matter.
Okay, I mean that didn't bother me because
No, it
that's
didn't bother
that's
me.
far more of a visual presentation with The
Yeah.
Rock having a voiceover though.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that. Then why have them speak Spanish at all? They
Because
could have
that's
said
their
nothing.
Doug, your privilege is showing. That's their heritage. And welcome to how they feel. Don't this
We
is
had a Samoan man doing voiceover of their heritage. What? Like what?
Like there's a lot of blending here. Okay, let's just start there. There's a lot of blending. And look, as I'm not trying to defend this, but here I am. But like,
Yep.
it didn't bother me. Like it was very clear what was being told to me from a visual aspect on the screen of like, oh, here's The Rock. He's sad because of his daughter. They're gonna go across, and it's fine. Like that was fine. It didn't bother me that I didn't know word for word what they were saying.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And maybe this is a little nitpicky on my end, but there's
No,
a
it's
part of me
fine.
that's like, if you're gonna have dialogue where someone is speaking Spanish, like especially great example, the last scene when they're doing the flashback,
Okay.
and the head conquistador like stabs the guy in the back.
Yes.
Like he calls something out in Spanish, and we have no idea what that is.
No, it was listed at the bottom. No,
Was
it
it?
wasn't.
Was
So
it?
here's the weird thing about that is they have some parts with caption because I definitely remember them talking to each other. There was captions.
Really?
So like all the conquistadors talking to each other when there's
Yeah.
snakes and mud and honey.
Right?
There's
That has
captions there.
captions.
Because they're
Right?
talking about how that's how I knew he said, "Oh, speak for yourself. I'm delicious." Because I vividly remember captions in there, but now I'm thinking back to the flashback scene, and I don't.
There are no captions.
No,
remember.
Flashback didn't have them. I
No,
I
I
know
remember.
that because
Yeah.
Guys, you know what? You carry on. This was my point. I'm gonna see if there were captions
No.
on.
I think it's a good point to make.
when they were in like the forest.
Yeah.
There was not one in the flashback though. I'm
No.
very positive about that.
Wait, I felt like he was talking to his daughter though, unless for a brief moment, I automatically understood Spanish. I felt like the moment he was talking to his daughter, that was like there was captions there when he was talking to the daughter when she was sick about how I'm never
Mhm.
going to let you down. I'm never going to. I can't remember. God, I can't remember. Damn
no,
it. Doug.
I don't think there were captions because it was The Rock, the Dwayne The Rock Johnson was like, that's when he knew he had to go to the rainforest because his daughter was sick
That's
and
right. That was a
XYZ.
voiceover.
And then
Yeah.
it was like,
They cut
Love
out
you,
all of the
Peppa.
like having to spend the money to translate it at the bottom so you could follow along. By just saying like, "Hey, he's gonna walk you through it."
Yeah.
Hey, look at that!
All right.
Save yourself a couple $1,000. Like, that's see how it works. I cannot find any resources that say whether or not there was
that's a good way to phrase
dialogue in the
that.
forest, but I'm gonna look it up now.
I'm totally stealing that phrase. That's a good phrase. But I mean, I understand though, because that was a pretty exposition heavy part of the movie during the flashback, and you don't want to miss anything. I understand what you're saying, Doug. It didn't. It did not impact my mileage. Is
Right.
what I will say.
Yes. Nah,
The-
me
here's
either.
the really critique reason that it bugs me is to someone who maybe is like hard
Oh,
of hearing.
That's actually a
If
very
you're
good point.
hearing The Rock talk and
Right.
the mouth doesn't match up with what you're hearing, it's difficult to enjoy it. Now, I mean,
That's a good point.
that's just being conscious of the world that we live in, but also even from like a movie making perspective. Like if I'm sitting there and someone else is talking and it doesn't add up, it's just creating a little bit of confusion in that moment where maybe there didn't need to be. So the only thing I would say is if you're going to do exposition, great. Do exposition. There's nothing wrong with it. It looks good. It sounds good. Nothing else matters is the soundtrack. It's awesome. Go with it. But if you're going to have somebody talk to try to have a moment here to walk everybody through it and explain it out, skip it. Like skip
that
the
probably is an
exposition and go with the
important
dialogue.
scene. Yeah, that's probably an important scene to have in there.
I
That's a good
wonder
point.
what would have happened, Doug, if you put on closed captioning, because you watched this at home, right?
Yeah. That's a good point.
I wonder what would happen because I feel like it's like a 50-50 of like I hate that I'm thinking this, but like I don't know. I don't know if Disney would just put like Spanish in like just the word Spanish
Speaking
with
in
The
audible
Rock,
Spanish.
like doing the exposition, or if they would actually translate the Spanish.
I wonder. Yeah. That's
the closed
that's
captioning. I feel like it's 50-50. Obviously, you would want it to be like the latter for our folks that need closed captioning. And by the way, I use closed captioning sometimes because sometimes dialogue in movies is so quiet for me.
Yeah.
But like I hear
100%.
the explosions crystal clear, but like the moment a little bit of dialogue gets down here, it's like, what? Excuse me? Can you
That's the
speak up,
problem.
please?
That's the problem with a sound system. Everything rumbles. So if there's like any action going on and people are talking, it's like, wow, did they speak in explosion? Because I don't understand what's happening here at all. Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I also watch subtitles on movies as well. So I definitely agree. And I guess, I don't know, and there is an issue with some movies where if there is some type of Spanish, HBO Max specifically, if there is any type of other language dialogue, it won't show if I have the subtitles on, or it's something like that where it's weird. Like,
Interesting.
It's like if they're speaking another language and I have subtitles on, it won't have captions on the bottom of it. So I don't know. It's just weird. Just
HBO
weird.
Max continuing to be the streaming service that's like, oh, you want this? We'll forget you. No, too bad.
Yeah, we gave you
deal
good
with
movies.
it.
Shut the hell up. I had to restart a movie 3 times yesterday because HBO Max just fuck.
Also, real fast,
Look at this guy.
my unpopular opinion is there are times, and I might have to leave the room after saying this, there are times where I found Emily Blunt to be obnoxious.
No, that's impossible.
There were moments where
That's
I was
impossible.
like,
No
way.
Can you just
No.
not? Like,
no way.
What were the moments? What were the moments?
The final scene where The Rock is like, hey, I've been alive for 400 years. I just like to fucking die, man. Like, can I fade away into the ether? I don't want to do this anymore. And she's like, well, you could have a whole life. What about this life?
She loves him.
Fuck up. Like, let me die. Like,
How dare you? How dare you say that about dear Emily Blunt?
She said, shut the fuck up. Oh my god. She loved him. She was enough world for him.
Right. And if she loved him, she would want him to let it go. That is a clear example of her wants and needs being put ahead of his. Like, he's been alive for 400 years. This isn't like a I'm not trying to be it's coming out very misogynistic here. Like, woman, stay in your place. And I'm not trying to have it come out that way. So I apologize if that's the way that this has gone. Like,
left quickly.
Look, the character is clearly befuddled. They just put a bunch of water down because they're at an ancient temple to find Tears of the Moon. And this guy's like, well, I'm just gonna call it quits. And she's like, well, I have feelings. And I disagree. I found that very charming, and I thought it was I liked it. It made my heart happy because I've been there.
Welcome at Films in Black and White. So I appreciate the difference of opinion. There is a part of me that was like, yeah, man, I get it. What could you like? You've been around for 400 years. At some point in time, you want the record to stop. Like, you want the ride to come to an end. Like,
well, also to Doug's point, he wanted to die. He then got turned into stone, so technically he's dead, right?
Right.
She then proceeds to put the flower in his mouth to bring him back forcibly.
Yes.
So she did not let him die.
It's not about. It's clearly not about like again. I can't make that point because it sounds weird when I make it that way. Like it's weird for him from the character's perspective to be like, there is nothing. I've seen all of your technology now come into existence. It's not going to look that much different going forward. I would like this to be over. And she's like, no. Like, it's just like, really? It just felt weird to me.
Look, this has apparently turned into the podcast where Brian Roush defends Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the podcast. Love you.
And I would also like to say
tomorrow, by the way,
she acted the shit out of this, and she deserves props. And you're absolutely right. Your point at the beginning, they had great chemistry, and they built that relationship. I just find it odd from a character perspective to be like, he's wanting to go, and it's not about him finding a reason not to. It's about her saying, I'm gonna be it felt weird to me.
No,
I guess I viewed it differently.
I had a hard time connecting with it.
I guess for me, it sounded more like, yes, I think that, Doug, I think you're right in the way that you view it. I think I heard it different, or it landed differently for me.
And that's possible.
And for me, it was like, I heard it like, I've given up on everything. I don't need to keep going. And she's like the hopeful and optimism of like, no, there's a lot more to see, and I want to do it with you. So like, that was kind of how I took it. Because even with the drawing part, he even mentioned, I drew everything that I could drew. And I drew everything that I could draw. And she was like, maybe you just haven't had the right inspiration. And so I connected that decision with that line of being like, no, there's a lot more life to live because, you know, I'm inspired by you and I want to live it with you. So it landed differently for me.
Look,
that's fair. That's fair.
All I'm saying is that the tree is wilting and things are falling apart, and the bee undead conquistadors chasing you, and he says to the brother, like, tell her she would have been world enough for me. So he's clearly engaging in self-sacrifice. This isn't something that he's like, tell her I said bye, I'm good. Like, I'm happy with this.
This
like,
is how
he could have said that, you know. Communication important in any relationship.
True.
But no, he was like, she could have been my world, which melodramatic. Yes, of course. Did it pull at my heartstrings a little? And I mean, and of course, when Emily Blunt hears that, Dr. McGregor, I think is her character name. Emily Blunt lived the events of this movie.
This was Frank and Emily Blunt. That's who it was. She went back in time, Terminator style.
Yeah.
So I mean, but essentially, in any case, clearly she's understanding. Like, oh, I would have been world enough for him. We'll be together now. That's how I interpreted that message.
And to be fair, my issue is not with the scene on the boat, like stopping the river and fading into stone again. Like, you're right, Brian. That dialogue's very important. My issue is before they go inside to see the tree, he literally says, I'd kind of like to be done. I'm paraphrasing. I'd kind of like to be done with this.
Yes.
I've been doing it for 400 years. And her response isn't, oh, yeah, I could see how that might be something that you'd want to do. Her response is now. Like, and I just like, that's the part of me that's like, you can't understand that. Like, you can't empathize with the person that's been around for 400 years as literally a river ghost. Like,
she loves a river ghost. It's like Patrick Swayze all over again. But
it's like in the jungle.
Except in the jungle with mosquitoes. But I don't. Anyway, I'm not going to bask on this too long. I feel like as a man who sometimes like to be chased, by the opposite sex, if she didn't say anything, if she didn't say you're world enough for me, I would have been insulted. I would have been like, so you want me to die? You want me to kill myself? Reverse psychology, toxic as hell. You want me to kill you wouldn't bring me back? And she's like, no, I just want to let you do your own thing.
A very healthy relationship you've developed.
You just want me to perish? You're not going to bring me back with the leaf?
I'd really like to be done. Okay, I get it. Excuse me, bitch. You want me to die? Like, just like, what are you talking about?
You hate me, don't you?
I get it. I hate myself too.
It's actually that's actually the whoever the director is, that's the cut, right? That's an extra cut of we added an extra half hour within this sequence, and the Germans are actually coming around the corner like, ooh, they're like going through something here. We
Yeah.
need to let this
Just
play
like-
out.
like,
And then like it
just-
devolves into
just
like,
let 'em rock.
well, I didn't want you to be the skipper all the way. Oh yeah. By the way, the director Jean Colette Sarah. So the Sarah
You did a
cut?
great job. Great job.
Oh
The
yeah.
Sarah cut. Yeah, the Sarah
Yeah,
cut.
give us the Jome
Pop
cut.
up at that end scene, and it's like, no, when you call me Skippy, I've earned the title of Skipper, and he's just like, ding, and like sinking back down again.
Oh, honey, the river's calling me back. I gotta go.
and
Like,
somebody tries to go up, he's like, no, don't. They're no.
just let him do that thing. They're cooking.
Yes.
They have to go through that.
All in all, she did great.
Doug is
She's awesome.
hilarious.
With that part, I was
Doug
like,
is hilarious.
Not your favorite Emily
not
Blunt
my family,
performance
not
in
my
that.
favorite moment.
Yeah, that makes
Gentlemen,
sense.
what are some maybe other things that you all would like to critique?
That fucking toucan. Can we stop? It kept popping up.
That was
And it was
fine.
the most annoying thing to me. I get that it was a reoccurring thing, but it was like, for me, the goddamn toucan, when he wraps it up in the little, you think he's wrapping the pedal up in the thing. It's the guy. I was like, didn't we lose this fucking toucan in the water somewhere? Out of all the adventures y'all just went on, this
Brian.
toucan is still here.
Fucking Brian. Like every time we have like something to point out, like we didn't lose the toucan. Brian's like, it's fine.
It's
I'm
fine.
okay with it.
I love
They
that.
held on to it. He put it in his pocket. It's fine. Like
It honestly didn't bother me. Like
love
it,
toucans.
it almost became a shorthand for like gotcha. Like I don't know. Like, it just became shorthand like green toucan, gotcha. Like that's it. And it's used multiple times. I don't know. I thought that was funny.
Listen,
yes.
Mr. 3000, everybody. Brian definitely knows how to make anything sound good. I mean, no, you didn't get the deeper dialogue with the toucan. It was like gotcha, like a short term for
No.
gotcha.
No.
I
And,
wanna
and my
see
dumb ass
Brian-
is sitting here thinking like,
I
oh,
wanna
no, it is
take
a short term
Brian-
for gotcha.
I want to take Brian into a bad neighborhood just to see if he's like, this is different. I
Yeah,
don't necessarily hate it. It's
Yeah.
not their fault.
Like,
yeah.
Like I really want that to be.
I am aware. I am Mr. Positivity.
He's optimistic.
I own this role. My wife
We
hates
love
it
you for it.
sometimes. I love you all.
no, I love it.
I'm
I
not
love
gonna
it.
say I love the green toucan thing. I'm actually surprised it made it that far into the movie.
Deep into the movie. 4 hours later.
Yeah, I did not understand this movie was 2 hours plus, by the way.
Yes.
When you said that, Marcus, I was like,
long.
no, this is 90 minutes tops.
No.
No. They made a 2 hour and 7-minute movie about a Disney ride. Like,
Well, they spent
wow.
45 minutes in Nilo's park and wanted to really reiterate the fact that Nilo owned all of that land. So,
Yes.
and then destroyed everything. So they spent a lot of time before they even got off.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of time prepping to
Yeah.
start the journey.
Yeah.
And so they had a lot of moments that it was like literally you felt like this scene is really lasting a long time. Even when they get taken by the people who do the blow dart, the people who do the
Right.
blow darts, the indigenous people,
Or the-
that scene felt extremely
Yeah.
long. It felt like that scene in Robin Williams' Peter Pan, like when he goes
Oh,
back
yeah.
and he visits the boys back in Neverland.
And
Right.
he's at
That
the
thing
Lost
just-
Boys compound for like 8 days.
And they show you the full 8 days, and
Yes.
that's kind of like what that felt like there. So
Same
it
thing with
was
the kid-
long.
Same thing with the bar, like at the
Yeah.
like in this movie.
yeah.
It's like, did we need
Yeah.
to see them order food? Like,
Like,
I
what
mean,
was
I
that
get
about?
That's the point. He doesn't have any money, but you
Yeah.
made that point when he took the engine away. Like,
Yeah.
there's a part of me that's like,
Yeah.
this has gotta speed up just a hair.
Yeah, you probably could have taken care. Yeah, I think that you just removed the engine piece, but then Paul Giamatti doesn't have stuff to do, and maybe he was.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
like,
they
"Well, we
wanted
got
him to
him. We
do
got to
it.
do something with him."
Um,
He was the
in
most
makeup.
random person popping up. Like,
That
oh,
was
Frank, Frank owes me money. Like, okay.
Okay. Really quick question. What was the Germans' motivation for wanting to get the pedals?
They
He wanted
thought it
to
would-
win the World War.
Yeah,
One.
ditto.
Did he say that and I just miss it?
He did.
Yeah, he
He did.
said
oh,
it.
fuck. That's
He
on
said
me.
it twice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
on me. Never mind.
Don't worry though, Doug. I do have a legitimate critique. I do want to go back to the editing in this movie.
Yes.
Back to the drawing board.
I enjoyed this, but man, I don't know. There were so many jump cuts at one point in the
Yeah.
pink dolphin sequence that like I had a very hard time concentrating. I have an astigmatism, so like sometimes I have a hard time like watching things in low light if there's not enough light. I don't think that's what this was, but I'll own that in case anyone's listening and think that might factor into it. But like they're like, look at these pink dolphins, and like it goes to The Rock, Emily Blunt, dolphins, water, Blunt, dolphins, water, The Rock.
Did you see
And
the
it's like-
dolphins?
Like, and it happened like all in 10 seconds. And I was like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what exactly am I looking at? Nothing was able to settle during some of these sequences.
Even the scene where he's on that first boat with all the tourists, and it's like,
Yeah.
tourist, water flowing.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah.
Gunshot.
Yes.
Tourist. Like, it's just like, calm down. Like,
Yes.
just calm down.
Okay, I feel less alone. I'm
Yeah.
so happy you said that.
Yeah,
'cause,
there
like,
were
I
a
was like,
lot of
this feels
jump
really
cuts.
fast.
Yeah.
No, it was
God.
really quick. It was really quick.
It reminds me of like the guy on YouTube who did the counter for how many like cuts they did for Liam Neeson like scaling a fence and Taken, and it's like 20 or something like that. I'll have to find it and tweet it out on our account, but like that's what it reminded me of.
Oh, for sure. I agree 100%. Yeah, it's kind of
Like,
all
this
over the
is
place. So,
Unnecessary.
yeah, 100%. Anything else, gentlemen, about this particular movie you all would like to share?
I just thought it was a good time. I think it was. I can rewatch it. I think it was good. I think there was a lot of points that I may have missed. Maybe I'll go back to later. But I enjoyed the chemistry between not just Emily Blunt and The Rock, but the whole cast.
Oh,
yes.
And it was a well executed movie, and even the villains. For you to have two protagonists,
Yeah.
one being one didn't feel like a main and one didn't feel like a side. They
Yeah.
balanced everything extremely well. Like,
That's
this
a
was the
really
Rock
good
protagonist.
point.
I mean, it's hard to do because then you get into Spider-Man 3, syndrome.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you had the Rock's villain who then just runs into Emily Blunt's villain, and then they become
Yep.
just one big bad that is all chasing after the same thing.
Yep.
It was just well balanced in my eyes. So I want to reiterate, I really did enjoy
Oh
this
yeah.
movie, and I think that they did a really good job in the execution.
I mean, I honestly, this movie did such a good job. Honestly, just playing to its strengths. Like, and I think that's one of the reasons why it is the way it is. Like, we don't see, like, back to like the CG point of like there was a lot of CG, and why did they do that for establishing shots? Because they didn't care. They had The Rock and Emily Blunt. Just put the camera on them, and just they're
Just
gonna
let 'em
smolder
go.
and flirt for 2 hours, and that's the movie. It's fine. Like.
Yeah.
They played to their strengths, and it absolutely worked. Like,
Yeah.
this is with like Jumanji, like even the new Jumanjis and The Mummy and National Treasure. Like, it's within those of like, you know what, I want to watch something that like it's got some punch to it,
lighthearted.
but like
Yeah.
it's got heart. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it is nestled firmly in there, and it's wonderful. It's a great addition to that genre.
I will say this. I did also enjoy this movie.
Hey,
It was a lot of fun. It was entertaining.
What the hell we been doing for the past hour and a half?
It was a good ride. Here's the one thing I will
Man.
say. I also think it's a good movie, but this felt like if anybody has seen Romancing the Stone from 1984,
Yes.
this felt very Romancing the Stone-y.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen that movie, go out and check it out. It's got Michael Douglas, Danny DeVito in it, Robert Zemeckis before he directed Back to the Future directed this. Like, it's a good movie, and this had had that same vibe. There are
Yeah.
parts of it I did not care about. One, please don't use Metallica songs as your interlude because I'm not going to be able to focus.
No.
And
No.
also, I had a hard
I need
time-
more of that.
And here's the thing: I had a hard time connecting with the love story, and I still found the comedy,
fair.
on the nose stuff with the ride,
Yeah.
and the actors' energy and their ability to execute. I thought was really good,
Yep.
even though the love story was a little hard for me to connect with.
It feels like it's been a while since Disney has put on a love story like that, though, because a lot of their
I
past
agree.
movies have been, we're not really interested in each other, or it could be assumed either way, but we're not going to hit it on the nose. This one, it feels like it's been a long time, but they hit this one right on the nose.
And I feel like there's been a lot of movies that are like, nah, we're not going to do romance. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
For
But
sure.
I also enjoy it when
But I do
it's
miss it.
done right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
for
felt
sure.
like this one was done right. So while it may have missed for you, Doug, which is perfectly fine, I get that.
Yeah.
I feel like it played into the story well, because they did a slow build of that chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I appreciated most was from the moment that they met, it was scripted very well. The story was told very well, that their relationship grew and built. Even him learning Dr. Pants through her brother.
Yeah.
Her brother's like, hey, if you do this to your sister, she's dead to you, buried. Like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And he took that and it meant something to him. So, I don't know. It's just done well. I can't really explain it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Here's my question for you all. And I know that we talked briefly about like other rides that they could do. Does Jungle Cruise get a sequel?
Oh.
And if so, where do you think this team goes next? Because I got a vibe from this that there's a sequel that's going to be made. One, with the success in the box office, and two, just with the general, like you all said, like the end didn't end at a point where like, oh, they've retired. It's like, no, they're still on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, ready to like get out there and do this. So my question to you all is, based on what you saw, do you think there's a sequel? And if there is, what do you think they're doing with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Only because it's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think that $7 is, I keep mentioning $7 because The Rock's not going to invest into something that he does not feel is going to be successful. I mean, I'm pretty sure they did that with Moana. Mm-hmm. In some form or fashion, they were a part of Moana. And The Rock just knows how to pick a film. For some reason, and I'm giving him his credit on that. He knows what to get a part of. Him and his team know what to be a part of. This movie's going to make too much money not to do a sequel, for one. The chemistry between The Rock and Emily Blunt was too good. And the whole cast, honestly, was really good not to do it again. And he has no restraints to that river. So I do think that because he came back to life, you said it was originally based in Africa. I think that that's where they go next. I think that they go back to Africa, or they take it to Africa and they try to find this next adventure. The brother gets sick or something like that they want to go on. Because London just didn't fit. He wanted to be back on the river, and she wanted to be back on the river with him. They hated London. Blah, blah, blah. Whoop, whoop. There's your sequel.
Yeah. Ryan?
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm going to say yes, this gets a sequel, but I think one of the things that when we talk about box office here is I feel like these numbers are wonky as all get out, because I think it was 30 million. And I was getting this from Variety. I think it's 30 million box office. Sorry, 34 million at the box office, 27 internationally, and then 30 million on Disney Plus, which is like a total revenue of 90 for the weekend. And apparently this cost 200 million to make. So plus marketing probably. So like you probably got to break even at somewhere around 300 or 400 to maybe easy. 500. I doubt it, but like maybe. So I don't know if this gets $500 million, especially with it being on Disney Plus, but maybe I'm wrong and people are like willing to break down and do the $30 and call it a day. We know it's been a mitigation strategy for Disney Plus. So I think it has to cross a certain financial threshold for it to get a sequel. Story wise, absolutely. It's wide open. You could do 5 of these easy. Like if everyone's willing to come back. I mean, the chemistry is there. The will they, won't they energy is there. And I agree with you, Marcus. You go somewhere in Africa, there's so many things they could do with this. There's so many other mystical or legendary type of artifacts that they can go and discover and have adventures. And I feel like there's plenty of story left to tell. And there's such good vibes from this movie from me that it's like, it's a no-brainer. I don't even need to see the trailer. Like, I'm going to see Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt look pretty at each other, and we'll call it a day. It's fine.
That's exactly what this whole movie was them looking at each other and being like, you look good. No, damn, you look good.
That's essentially the movie. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. I think this gets a sequel. And you're right, Brian. The box office is not going to be the only reason. I think that they will make a sequel despite the box office. I think this movie won't break even, and I think just based on hype and energy, I think they'll do it. Kind of to Marcus's point, like Dwayne DJ just knows how to pick them. Like, you know what I mean? Like he just knows how to pick them.
Yeah.
Here's my prediction. I think that they will do their best to try to incorporate another Disney ride into this by doing by doing Big Thunder Railroad, which is the like railroad, which is the like train roller coaster that's in Disneyland and
Yes.
Disney World, and it will be
Yes.
a legend about a hidden mine and a hidden treasure in the American Southwest.
Honestly, I
very
could
specific.
absolutely see that.
That was
Dwayne?
very specific.
Call me, we'll write it. I know exactly how this works.
Damn.
It's set up this way. Emily Blunt is pissed off that the old like English people have their own exploration society, so she sets
Yes.
up a new one and gives more room for people who aren't in that like majority
Mhm.
group that have access to it. So it's more like women and like just other people who get this
Yep.
type of opportunity. So
Yep.
the first one that they investigate on their own
Yep.
is they get a rumor that in like New Mexico, newly founded New Mexico, that there is the like a legend, kind of sticking with like Spanish conquistadors, that
Sure.
they were looking for the treasure of Juarez, and they have to like send them there. And the big final battle is they're on a train, and yeah, there it is.
Absolutely. I mean,
Well,
why
Doug
not?
Doug just wrote it for you.
That's
Yeah, I mean
exactly how it works.
it's there, and I
If
mean,
you
not
do
to
that,
like,
$7. If that's the next one,
yeah,
I'm coming for you
Sue
because
they
I said
ass.
it right now. This is
And-
my IP going forward.
Sue 'em.
and Disney has their own version of Shield too. By the way, they have C.
Yeah.
And it's like all the owners of like all
Yeah.
of the
Mhm.
basically for all the stories and stuff like that. So I feel like it's really easy that you could do that. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
for sure.
I feel like this could get a sequel easy and make everybody happy.
The audience score was 93%.
yeah.
Yeah, audiences
love this.
loved this.
He said it was the Rock said it was the highest of both him and Emily's career.
Was it really?
It was like that's the highest they've ever gotten.
I absolutely agree with that.
Unreal. Then they'll do it again.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely,
mean,
they'll do it again.
because I also think, not to make it about like the state of the world, but like the other thing about this is like a lot of these studios, they have these heavy hitter blockbuster films and they got to get them out. Like,
They have to.
it's been a year.
Yeah.
It's time. And this is for a news episode, but like, who knows what happens with theaters in the fall and in the winter.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
is the time that you got to do it, even if you're not going to get even if you're not going to break even, right? Like, and I
Right.
feel like this is part of that, but that's for a whole other episode.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%. The last thing I'm going to say is we brought up the Haunted Mansion reboot. I just want to mention it really quickly because I don't want to forget it. Justin Simeon is going to be the director for the Haunted Mansion reboot. And in case that name sounds familiar, he wrote and directed Dear White People. And the rumored actors that are the rumored actors, I know, Marcus, you don't like rumors. The rumored actors associated with
Now that I
Haunted
see it.
Mansion is Tiffany Haddish and Lakeith Stanfield.
Yes. Yeah. I want to buy my ticket now. Yes.
I don't.
Yeah. So there you go.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Tiffany Haddish.
Neither
She
am I.
kinda, she doesn't. She has this. She can either do too much. She can do too much for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not personally something that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Sometimes she can strike gold and she's like perfectly
Mhm.
well balanced and she can do that.
Secret
I
Life
feel
of
like
Pets
if it's gonna
2.
be yes. And it's like if Disney does this, they're gonna let her be over the top. They want Tiffany Haddish to be that
Screaming in a
over-the-top
Haunted
version.
Mansion.
That's exactly it. And
that's what I'm
not
signing up for.
that's not what. Well, yeah, and to each his own, right? But for me, I'll just go watch the Eddie Murphy version again.
Also, the
Yikes.
last thing
Sorry,
I
Tiffany.
saw Lakeith Stanfield in was
Judas
and the Black
Messiah.
So
Yeah.
thinking about him and now with Ghosts, I'm like,
Yeah.
he's gonna have to change his vibe
Yeah.
because that is a lot.
He's gonna have to be chill.
I'm still
Yeah.
upset with him about that damn movie.
I-
That's how good he acted. He acted
Yeah.
his ass off.
I know.
Yeah. Man, Atlanta season 3 has to be happening too at some
Mhm.
point,
It's-
right?
it's
And
so,
he's
yeah.
oh my gosh. Okay, that's for another time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't mean to do a new idea in our conclusion, but gentlemen, we have reached the end of our particular movie. This is available in theaters and on Disney Plus for a
Yes.
premium access fee. If you can go in a theater, go support your local theater if it's safe for you to do so.
Yes,
If not, maybe consider the thing at home. And as always, if you are able to get vaccinated and you want to get vaccinated, just fucking do it. Make everybody's life easier.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, what do you all have to plug this week? Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you like going to movies and theaters, like get vaccinated. That's like a thing we need to do if we're gonna go watch a movie in a theater. Like, go do that. In any other case, lovenerds.com, go check it out. We still got summer here. We're on the back half of summer, and you need some good recipes. And the lovenerds.com, it's got you. So go check that out. I'm also Rogue Roush on Twitter. I'll be having some Nerf content coming up, part of the Nerf Hyper Tourney. Also just got 3,000 followers there. So come on, if you're not following me, you can be part of the cool people.
Get that graphic
So
up
no,
again.
we don't need the Mr. 3000 one. That's fine. That's fine.
Sorry.
There it is. There
If I could make it flash, I would.
Mr. 3000.
So in any case, that's what I'm plugging. That's what now they're flashing it at me. That is something else. That is all I have to plug this week.
Brian, that's fantastic. Thank you all. We are very excited for you and happy for you.
Nice.
So keep it up. Marcus, what do you have to plug, sir?
Oh, so much to plug, so little time. My latest album, Until Then, is out right now, available for streaming everywhere.
Stream it.
Yeah, let me know what you think about it. Honest opinions and honest views only. We are at 993 all-time streams for the project.
Streaming it tonight. We're gonna get up to 1,000. We're doing it.
Oh, thank you. Until Then is available everywhere. Let me know what you think. The Noah store is opening soon, and we'll be doing some different things this time around. While we will have a new logo that will be coming out, we will have some things that will just stay up on the store continuously. We won't shut the store back down again. We'll have some things that you can just constantly buy whenever you're feeling it. But stay tuned for that. You never know. And we got something pretty cool on the way. We're doing a little book drive, back to school book drive. We're going to be buying about 50 book bags, and we're going to be giving away to some of the kids in the city, stuff with school supplies and all that good stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
That's super legit.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Fucking fire.
It's a team thing.
That's great.
Doug Wagner,
absolutely right.
what do you have to plug?
Yeah, man.
This podcast is what I have to plug. If you enjoy movies or comics or pop culture or just comedy in general, just recommend this podcast, listen to this podcast, sign up for our Patreon. We put out and go to great lengths to produce this particular live show that we do every week and to produce the audio episode every week. And so if you like independent podcasts, or if you like one of us, or if you just like movies in general,
if you like one of us,
maybe
consider signing up for one of our tiers. Head over to patreon.com /films in black and white and sign up there. We got some great stuff coming. And so we are super excited about that and appreciate all the love and support. And again, money is tight. I know that the times we live in, not everybody can spare $5 to $20, depending on who you are. So just, if you like our show, recommend us to a friend, because that is just as good as that Patreon support in our group. So, gentlemen, we have a 3-step process to success.
3 of them.
And so, Brian, will you please give the people our first key to success?
I need y'all to read a book. There's some good information in there. And even if there isn't good information, you're going to learn something about yourself. Maybe something you like, maybe something you don't like. Make sure to read a book.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Marcus, second step to success.
Listen, second step to success. I know we're cooling off a little bit. We had 100+ degree days here in Vermilion.
Excuse me?
Yeah, it was a couple back to back.
Week.
It was,
oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
It was
It's
bad.
coming again on the weekend.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it just rained out of nowhere. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the gods are pissed. But anyway, the gods will be more pissed if you aren't drinking some water. You know, you got to grab it. I grab one large thing of Fiji every morning from my local gas station, and I'll drink that throughout the day. And you just got to get that. You got to get that water in your system. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Gentlemen, we all just watched Jungle Cruise. And the one thing I noticed about Jungle Cruise,
nobody bathed.
They didn't bathe and they sweated for the entirety of that movie, which means you know that they had to have some ass tail stench following them around. So if you can, and if you would, please just wash your ass. If we're going to have a week of 100 degrees, you got to make sure you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your ass.
It's
Because
true.
at the end of the day, if you're not washing it, someone is smelling it, and it's a whole thing. So just
while
wash
it
your
may
ass.
keep the piranhas away, it also keeps people away. So,
That's very true.
Yeah,
And
the
we don't
piranhas
want,
were vicious in that movie. Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. We don't want
Yes.
to keep the people
I'm
away.
pretty sure you're not even supposed to eat piranhas because
I don't
of the
think you are
blood in them.
either.
I don't.
Also-
I think that's an actual real life rule.
Yeah, and piranhas also don't function that way, but that's a whole other podcast.
Oh,
So
shit.
thanks for tuning in to Fish in Black and White. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week to cover the one, the only, the Suicide Squad.
I'm so excited.
So check that out wherever you get your
It's gonna be good.
podcast.
I am
next
so
week.
amped.
Also, if you've never watched our live stream before, that will be our free one for the month of
Yes.
August. So check us out there. And in the meantime, stay safe.
And
stay
the
healthy.
between time.
And the between time. Stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all, and we will catch y'all next
Yeah.
week.